now, Shahzad, let's move on to one of the important topic or important area of expertise in which Pakistan requires a lot of focus and attention, and that is the education sector. Because obviously, when we are talking about working, it is the education that paves the way towards the education. So in Pakistan, there are 22.8 million children that are out of school, which is a very staggering number. And out of that, 5 to 16 aged children, that is 44% of the total population, they're not going to the school. That is according to the UNICEF of the Pakistan. And obviously there are lots of disparities based on the gender, because women or the girl children, they are preferred to be kept in their houses rather than the working outside.
Exactly.
Or maybe, you know, getting the education outside, because men or boys are preferred over that. They are considered to be the bread earners in the first place.
That's true, and we have seen that as well. And imagine that, you know, when you do not educate yourself, when you do not educate, you know, the entire population, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of problems. For example, we were speaking about, you know, how bosses can actually call you out, you know, out of work hours. Now, let's talk about, you know, those illnesses and diseases which actually still exist within our own society, and we really need to make sure that there's more awareness about it. You know, when we speak about the health sector, when we speak about being fit, ladies and gentlemen, today actually happens to be one of the most important days as well, and that too about the bleeding disorders. Today happens to be the hemophilia day, ladies and gentlemen, and we certainly, you know, education is really very important for us to kind of be very aware of, you know, what's going on in the world and how so many people are actually suffering from it. And so hemophilia day is all about bleeding disorders, and I've mentioned the theme for this year is equitable access for all, recognizing all bleeding disorders. Most of the times, you know, this is where we started our conversation from, that people certainly have no idea. People will sleep over it, but to make sure that the people out there is more aware, I guess it's our responsibility and the responsibility of our education sector, with which, you know, I'm going to connect, you know, how, you know, there are 20 million children out of school. You know, we have stated the figures from United Nations International Children Education Fund, and what can be done.
True.
Now, there are people who are doing quite a lot in that, in this particular context. We have such a hero over here, you know, who's actually doing something really wonderful. Now, imagine that if you've never been to school and all of a sudden, you know, you're 8 years old or 9 years old, you know, they take you in. What they do is that they set your foundation till grade 4, and then they allow you to be you know, suitable student for any government school or college, and you know, you can certainly have that dream fulfilled of, you know, getting educated. I think that's something, ladies and gentlemen, which Fareezah is actually being nibhaufied by Fareezah as well. So there's an entire concept. This lady, you know, from 2016 with her friends started this initiative with the name of Fareezah, and we will be in conversation with her. How is she educating the future of Pakistan is something we will be talking about. So we're very lucky, ladies and gentlemen, that we have been joined by somebody who happens to be the executive director at Fareezah. She is Sarish Khan Sadozai. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for inviting me to your program to talk about the work that we are doing with Fareezah. I'm actually feeling really good. I'm really excited for coming to your show and talking about it.
Obviously, let's kickstart the conversation. So Shahzad has alluded to the concept behind the Fareezah. So please let us know, as an audience, as a lay person, what is this project all about, and what future projects do you have in the mind?
So Fareezah basically started when I was, you know, like 25, I think, years old, and it wasn't something that, you know, now looking back, it wasn't something that we had, like, you know, planned. It started when, you know, my mother and I were discussing what to do with that year's zakat money. And I told my mother that I think we should invest in, you know, education of some underprivileged children, and, you know, and that is going to lead social change. So, you know, we started educating from 3 children in 2016, and now we have grown to, in like this year, we have grown to around 20 students, and we're still having, you know, admissions come in. So you can say that, you know, if for a lay person, Fareezah is sort of like a welfare school for underprivileged children, impoverished children of Kotha Kalan in Rawalpindi.
But Ms. Sarish, with the children, especially you're focusing on the underprivileged and marginalized communities.
Right.
So you see that the people here, you have to change their mindset a lot, because they have so many kids, and they want those kids to go and earn the money and contribute towards the bread earner of the household, right? So, and when you ask them to invest the education of the children, so you will face a resistance, because then you are cutting their supply of the money, right? And most parents are not very receptive about this entire idea. So do you have to face this challenge of making that awareness among the parents that you need to send your kids to the school, because that is a long-term investment, right? Rather than the short-term investing on giving them some work, or making them go to some workshop or some other technical institution where they can earn money and contribute towards their household income, right? So how do you face it?
Right. I would have to elaborate this area that I'm actually working in.
Right.
So basically, Kotha Kalan is situated between, DHA phase 1 on one side, and Morga and New Lalazar on the other side, right? So it is sort of like a cheaper area to reside, and so many of the parents which are part of Fareezah family, their children come to Fareezah. They are those parents who actually work as house helpers or cleaners in nearby posh localities, right? And they have been residing here. And I could say with like clarity that 80% of the kids or 85% of the kids that are coming to Fareezah were not working, basically, because that's not the trend there. They were actually on the streets playing while their parents were actually working on somebody else's places. So it's not something that I had to dig, because my mom and like my dad had a clinic there for 30 years and everything, so I was very familiar with the locality and the community. I could just see kids actually playing outside, and I can this question that you asked, did I face difficulty in convincing them? To be really honest, when I started it, initially I had some issues, but when we had like a proper like SOPs, we were following proper SOPs, we made we provided them uniform, and we had like exam system that these parents could understand. I still remember this incident. I remember this when we were living in DHA, and one of the house help of some neighboring houses, I asked her, why aren't your kids going to school? And they said that I don't have the means. And I told them, why don't you send them to Fareezah? I think at that point Fareezah was around 2 or 3 years old. And she said she came to Fareezah, and then when she later spoke to me, she told me that because in Fareezah she didn't say exactly, but she basically said that because there isn't computers in the school, and because of which I am going to enroll her in some other school with the help of my Baji. So I realized these parents, even though they are not educated, they understand what school is, because in houses that they're actually working, they understand when they're helping these there's awareness
what school is,